Goods and Service Tax, biggest tax reform since independence, commonly called as GST. So before the introduction of GST, we had so much taxes in India like customs, service, value added tax and so many. But it was a complete mess. So to simplify things, our government DJP during 2014 to 2019 regime, they came with GST, where our Prime Minister Narendra Ji Modi said that we are introducing GST with one nation and one tax and called it as GST. Let us go deep into the perception of whether GST is really good and simple. GST, Goods and Service Tax, is a comprehensive tax on manufacture, sales, and consumption of goods and service at the national level. GST is a tax on goods and service with value addition at each stage, and it will include many state and central level indirect tax. So, whatever service or whatever goods we are providing it to the public, we have to pay tax in the form of GST to the state and the central government. That's the concept of GST. So instead of bifurcating things and complicating the things, they are already given a clear cut view of how the percentage is divided between the state and the central government, and all together, put together, it is actually given as a one tax to us, which is called as GST. So it will actually help us to overcome the drawback in present tax system. So tax structure in India is of two types, direct tax and indirect tax. Direct tax. Direct tax, example, income tax, corporate tax, wealth tax, and indirect tax, excise duty, custom duty, service tax, and VAT. So method of taxation, that means how we are actually collecting the tax. Progressive tax. So increasing rate of tax for increasing value or volume. Regressive tax, decreasing rate tax for increasing value or volume. Proportional tax, fixed rate of tax for every level of income and production. So as the definition itself tells us a clear-cut view of what is progressive tax, regressive tax, and proportional tax. Progressive means for increasing value, the rate is actually increased. Regressive, increasing value, the rate is actually decreased. And proportional tax, there's a fixed rate. If the value is increased, the rate is also increased. So it's directly proportional. Value added tax, as I have told you, the old tax system in India had value added tax. It was actually implemented in the year 2005. It overcomes a cascading effect of tax and it is applied on value added portion in sales price. So in the sales price itself, the value added portion is actually included. So what is GST? GST is a comprehensive value added tax on goods and service. It is collected on value added at each stage of sales or purchase in the supply chain. So supply chain from the manufacturer to the consumer, at each stage of supply in the supply chain, each of the value added cost is actually added into GST. No differentiation between goods and service as GST is levied at each stage in the supply chain. So goods ko service ko there will be no change because the GST actually comes across each stage of the supply chain and each level of addition, the value which is cost. At all stages of production and distribution, taxes are a pass through and tax is borne by the final customer. All sectors are taxed with very few exceptions. So all the sectors are needed to pay the GST. So before going into the concept of who has to pay GST and who is exempt from GST, we will understand GST and the components of GST in a better sense with a simple illustration. So if you have gone to a restaurant, you would have noticed the bill saying that two components, CGST, Central Goods and Service Tax, SGST, State Goods and Service Tax. So these are nothing but the components of GST. So you have three components of GST, namely CGST, SGST, and IGST. CGST means Central Goods and Service Tax. SGST means State Goods and Service Tax. IGST means Integrated Goods and Service Tax. For example, I'm a manufacturer. I'm selling some commodity. Take for example something in Tamil Nadu, right? And a person from Tamil Nadu is opting to buy the commodity from me. Then that person has to pay a part of the money he's paying to the commodity. One is SGST and another part is CGST. That is State Goods and Service Tax, and the other one is Central Goods and Service Tax. That means I don't have to bifurcate and I don't have to complicate things as to how much he has to pay the tax to me, so that I have to indirectly pay it to the government and the state government, the central government. So it is already bifurcated, it is already divided according to the percentage, and I'm asking the customer who is buying the product from me to pay the total amount. which will contain all the two components, a state CGST and central CGST. So that's called SGST and CGST. So if that person actually buys for rupees 18, then he is giving that 18 rupees to me, and in that rupees 9 goes to the state government and rupees 9 goes to the central government as CGST. So total tax that is actually asked by the customer to pay is rupees 18. But it's the same commodity. If a person from other state, for example Kerala, is opting to buy that commodity from me, then he has to pay tax in the form of IGST, that is called Integrated Goods and Service Tax. So that will be charged according to the percentage, for example, together 18 percentage, right? But if you buy something online from Amazon, if you check at the bill, if the seller and the buyer is from the same state, he will be asked to charge only CGST and SGST. But if the case is not so and he is from other state, then you will be asked to pay IGST, that's called Integrated Goods and Service Taxes, right? So that's about a simple understanding of GST. So we were talking about who will be asked to pay GST, that is called who will be asked to pay SGST, and who will be asked to pay Integrated Goods and Service Taxes. So we have already seen all the sectors are actually compelled or is actually wanted to pay the tax in the form of GST. So all sectors are taxed with few exception and exemptions. So all the sectors have to pay GST. So is it necessary? A question arises, right? Is it necessary that every person who sells or buys good or renders a service need to pay GST to the government? So if you take like that, if you take in that perception or concept, for example, a watchman who actually protects us, right, during the night time, he is providing service to us. Can we ask the watchman to pay GST for the service that he is providing? We can't, right? So we have to have a perception of who is required to collect GST and who is actually exempt from GST. Okay, before that, GST rate for goods, service, and essential goods. The items like goods, total GST rate is 20%, and because it has a bifurcation, center for the central government 12% and for the state government 8%. Likewise, for the services that we actually get, like from the teacher, like from lawyer, everyone, the total GST rate for them is 16%, and in that bifurcated, 8% goes to the central government and 8% to the state government. And for essential goods like food, rice, wheat, everything, dal that we purchase for our day-to-day life, total GST is 12%, and center 6% goes, and state 6%, to altogether 12%. And some of the product are actually excluded from GST because it becomes very essential that we can't actually go with our life without these products, like petroleum product, alcohol, and tobacco products. So, as I've told you, there will be a threshold minimum level above which the GST is collected. For example, a businessman is there and the annual turnover of that businessman is greater than 40 lakh. Then the organization are supposed to register under GST. But if some out of their curiosity they volunteer to actually apply under GST, they can, right? So which is mandatory registration, but if the threshold frequency is there above which it is mandatory for the organization to pay or register under GST and pay GST, goods and service taxes. So, but if you take some commodity which is being sold online and the turnover is only rupees 1, even if it is rupees 1 and the turnover is very less than 40 lakh or something, even daily turnover for the online purchase of things is 1 rupees, then that organization has to pay GST because they are selling the things online and the threshold level of rupees 40 lakh disappears there. So any commodity which is being sold online are supposed to register under GST and have to pay goods and service tax. So benefits of GST. So with the introduction of GST, we have got many benefits. It is a transparent tax system, uniform tax system across India, reduced tax evasion, export will be more competitive. So what are the advantages of GST? So improvement in international cost competitiveness of indigenous goods and services. So this is actually very good because with the introduction of GST, we know how much tax, how much amount we are spending for import, how much we are spending for export, and therefore we can actually expand our export market, right? Enhancement in efficiency in manufacture and distribution due to economics of scale. So with the competition, we can actually increase our efficiency, manufacturing efficiency. GST encourages an unbiased tax structure that is neutral to business processes, business models, organization structure, product substitutes, and geographical location. So it becomes mandatory for everyone to register under GST, and everyone will be seen as equal. No tax being paid separately to the state, then the central. So altogether bifurcated, you are given one tax to be paid, helping as a weapon against corruption. So no one can escape from GST. Even if the turnover selling online is rupees 1 rupees per day, then they have to register under GST and pay GST. And if in case of business, rupees 40 lakh turnover, greater than 40 lakh turnover, they have to pay GST. So you can't escape. So corruption can be avoided. GST operates on a negative list. All goods and services are subject to GST unless specially exempt. So some of the goods, as we have seen, tobacco product, alcohol, and petroleum product. Other than that, all the products have to be registered under GST. Any organization which is providing the service other than petroleum product or alcohol or tobacco or goods that is actually other than this have to register under GST, and they have to pay GST. So this is about GST. So let us see what are the form we have to actually fill for actually registering under GST. The form is GSTR1 and GSTR3B. GSTR1 is actually something we have to provide details to the government of India how much goods or how much service we are actually rendering. That is the details that we are providing to the government. That is the form called GSTR1. And GSTR3B is nothing but the tax liability, how much we are collecting, right? That is a tax liability. As a wholesaler, if I'm an intermediate and I actually purchase things for rupees 80 rupees and I pay some tax as rupees 8 to the wholesaler, and if I'm selling it to the customer as rupees 18, and tax collected will be actually 18 rupees, then I have already given rupees 8 to the wholesaler, and I am asking the seller to give me rupees 18 as tax. So minusing 18 with 8, so I have to pay totally rupees 10 to the government as tax. That's called GST credit. So I am not paying the net amount. So the net amount is not paid, but the gross amount, the amount that I actually give tax to the wholesaler is rupees 8, and what I get from the customer is 18 rupees as a tax. So the gross amount, which 18 minus 8, I have to pay 10 rupees as GST credit to the government. So that is a simple concept of GSTR 3B form. So these are the two forms which I have to fill if I am going to register under GST. So this is a rough view of what is GST. I hope you have got a clear idea of what is GST. So next time when you see any bill, if you go to a restaurant or if you buy things from a mall, just go through the bill and see if you are being charged with two component, CGST and SGST. And if you are buying some things from online like Amazon, and the product which is manufactured is actually from other state and you are from other state, see to the bill if you are being charged with integrated goods and service tax, that is called IGST, and see what are the percentage. You have a concerned percentage how much you have to be charged with. It will be available, and according to that the service or the service provider or the goods giver will actually be charging you. So thank you.